Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Digital Assets Daily. Tonight, our focus will be on Brad Garlinghouse. Bradley Kent Brad Garlinghouse was born February 6, 1971 in Topeka, Kansas, the CEO of financial technology company Ripple. He was formerly the CEO and chairman of Hightail, formerly Usendit, the file sharing site. Prior to Hightail, he was president of consumer applications at AOL for 2 years. After his role as senior vice president at Yahoo, running its communications business, which included the homepage, Flickr, Yahoo Mail, and Yahoo Messenger. While at Yahoo, he penned the famous peanut butter Manifesto, calling for a shakeup at the then fledgling internet company. Excuse me. And now from there, we're going to dive in to the brilliance that is Brad Garlinghouse. From the ultimate VoIP and IP communications experience, you have Brad Garlinghouse, Vice President of Yahoo Communications Products. Brad joined Yahoo in March 2003 as Vice President of Yahoo's Communications Products Group. In this role, Brad is responsible for the strategy, management, development, and financial performance of Yahoo's communications products, which includes Yahoo's Mail, Messenger, Photos, and Voice. He is charged with increasing market share and improving user engagement for these businesses, as well as ensuring that Yahoo continues to be the most valuable global communications network on the internet. Brad previously served as Chief Executive Officer of Dialpad Communications, one of the world's largest providers of PC-based telecommunications services. Under his direction, the company's user base grew from just over 2 million to 14.5 million subscribers, and he successfully diversified revenue sources from a dependence on advertising revenue to generating 80% of revenue from premium services. Earlier in his career, Brad led venture capital investments in software communications and internet-based businesses at Ventures. He also spent time in product and marketing leadership positions at Home Networks, TCI Internet Services, and SBC Communications. Viewed as a spokesperson and expert in the intersection of communications and the internet, Brad has been a keynote speaker at industry events such as Internet World and VON. Has been quoted in top-tier publications such as the New York Times and Wall Street Journal, and has also appeared on CNN. Brad Garlinghouse becomes CEO of booming file sharing site Usendit. Box has been grabbing headlines lately because it has been nailing a big market. Enterprise customers who need to easily share and store big collections of documents online. But a quiet Silicon Valley rival has also been winning a bunch of this turf. Usendit. Today, the company is backing up its position with some new stats and a new chief executive, Brad Garlinghouse. He's coming off a 2-year stint as the head of consumer products at AOL and a previous 5 years heading up consumer and enterprise apps at Yahoo. He also has roots as an investor and entrepreneur, so this move is going back to that. Usendit, meanwhile, says it has 98% of the Fortune 500 companies on it in some form. Box says it has 82% for whatever this comparison is worth. More importantly, there's quality revenue in this type of business. Usendit has nearly 600,000 paying customers, on top of 30 million registered users. Revenue has correspondingly shot up from 24.4 million in 2010 to 39.3 million last year. Those numbers are also very competitive with Box and other sharing services, from what I hear. Garlinghouse, who will be on stage at Disrupt New York next week to share more details, says he's particularly excited about some other data points. Registered users have gone up 71% from the first quarter of 2011, while the paid subscriber growth in the first quarter of 2012 beat the same period the previous year. The company isn't sharing its revenue run rate at this point, but these numbers indicate it's going up faster than ever. All this is a big new public view of You Send It, which began life way back in 2004 and has managed to grow with little publicity, although TechCrunch has been on the case for years. One way it did this, as Garlinghouse tells me, was a cleverly placed link an email users would send each other. First, a user uploads a file and shares it. Then they send an email telling the recipient to go get it on the company's hosted page. But the email includes a link that says, "Click here to register and we'll store it for you." At some point, after users register and start using the service, they'll hit the paywall. Garlinghouse is placing 6-year chief executive Ivan Kuhn, who is widely credited for building the guts of the business. Going forward, the new exec will be doing some of what rivals have excelled at, which is creating an extremely simple user-facing product and pushing the company's brand in public. Former Yahoo executive and Hightail CEO joins Ripple as COO. Brad Garlinghouse, the former CEO of Hightail and a longtime executive of Yahoo, has been appointed as Ripple's first chief operating officer as the company passes the 100-employee mark. Excuse me. This internal memo from 10 years ago shows Yahoo still hasn't solved its biggest problem. In October 2006, Yahoo SVP Brad Garlinghouse wrote a blistering internal memo urging the company to narrow its focus and clarify its vision. The memo, now famously called the Peanut Butter Manifesto, pointed out Yahoo's lack of focus, using peanut butter as a metaphor for spreading its resources too thinly. It laid out all the problems Yahoo was facing and served up as a wake-up call to a company that was losing its place to up-and-coming rivals such as Google. I've heard our strategy described as spreading peanut butter across the myriad opportunities that continue to evolve in the online world. The result, a thin layer of investment spread across everything we do, and thus we focus on nothing in particular. Garlinghouse wrote, "I hate peanut butter. We all should." Fast forward 10 years, and Garlinghouse words still seem to hold true for Yahoo's ailing business, lack of clarity and decisiveness, leading to a seemingly perennially dysfunctional group. Although Yahoo CEO Marissa Mayer has been making a stronger push towards mobile, video, and social, it's still hard to sum up Yahoo's business in a single word the way you would identify Google with search or PayPal with payments. Whilst most remarkable is how little has changed from 10 years ago and how much of what's in the Peanut Butter Manifesto is still shockingly true, Garlinghouse told. AOL's Brad Garlinghouse exits may be based on AOL property traffic. Brad Garlinghouse, AOL's president of applications and commerce and head of its Silicon Valley operations, is set to leave the company according to a variety of sources, including the Wall Street Journal. Garlinghouse, who leads the team at the Palo Alto office, who was brought in by AOL from Yahoo in 2009. You may remember Garlinghouse for the Peanut Butter Manifesto, an internal Yahoo memo which was leaked to the press. In it, he criticized Yahoo for a lack of focus on individual products, saying that they were being spread too thin like peanut butter. He stated in the memo, "I hate peanut butter. We all should." If there's another company in the tech world that could relate to being spread too thin across too many products, it is AOL. AOL's history is full of triumphs and failures, many of which are still fresh in the minds of the company. Bringing in an executive with a drive to create focus was a move that many hoped would enable it to shed the crust of what didn't work and focus on what will for the future. To this end, the Applications and Commerce Division started making changes and were rewarded with positive results from some major early decisions. They removed 60% of the ads from their mail product, and their revenue from those ads went up 30%. They redesigned AOL's mobile homepage and traffic went up 100%. From what we've heard, Garlinghouse's exit has a lot to do with a decline in traffic across AOL products, especially Patch. The Patch product produced 1,000 pieces of localized news and content an hour as of earlier this year. Many of the AOL products controlled by the West Coast division displayed an initial rise in traffic on the establishment of the SV office, then have experienced a gradual slide since, according to people familiar with the matter. A quick review of Garlinghouse's Twitter stream reveals this tweet, in which he appears to call the ball on his exit earlier this month. When sales guys run the company, product guys don't matter so much, and a lot of them just turn off. Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson. Losing Garlinghouse, who joined AOL's West Coast operations in an effort to freshen up the online operations of the aging company, is a major loss, especially for its West Coast operations. Also here we have Ancestry.com LLC adds new operating committee members. Provo, Utah, August 6, 2013. Ancestry.com LLC, the world's largest online family history resource, announced the appointment of Janice Chafin and Brad Garlinghouse to the company's operating committee, increasing the committee's size to 7 members. The company has already reported these appointments in its registration statement on Form S-4 as filed with the Securities and Exchange Commissions. We are pleased to welcome Janice and Brad to our operating committee, said Tim Sullivan, Chief Executive Officer of Ancestry.com. Together, their deep experience spans the leadership of top consumer-facing software and internet service businesses, providing a strong complement to our focus on providing individuals innovative ways to discover, preserve, and share their family history online. The CEO of Ripple discusses his journey from Uber to being at the helm of a fintech giant at Off the Chain. Brad Garlinghouse had a roller coaster ride in his life. Mr. Garlinghouse was previously the CEO of Hightail and also worked at AOL as well as Yahoo. After this, Brad operated as an Uber driver for a while, and he was in the vehicle with a customer when he was first introduced to Ripple. Brad became a Bitcoin hodler roughly 7 years ago in 2012. He has always been supportive of the King coin. At first, Brad joined Ripple as the Chief Operating Officer in 2015, following which he became the Chief Executive Officer. The CEO spoke of Ripple focusing on payment solutions, which was the signature goal of Satoshi Nakamoto, the mysterious creator of Bitcoin. Anthony Pompliano questioned him about how Xcurrent, Xrapid, and Xvia differ from one another. Brad highlighted the usage of Xrapid, which promotes liquidity. He referred to a true incident that involved the leader of a banking institution who they had promised they did not need to invest in crypto while they were partnering up with RippleNet. A year later, the same individual changed his mind about XRP as an asset. Incidentally, Brad was also interviewed by Fox Business this week while referring to the XRP ledger. Brad spoke of how this open source ledger was established prior to the creation of Ripple. According to Brad, these gentlemen had set out to discover Bitcoin 2.0, which would be scalable. Mr. Garlinghouse, who also addressed this meme, which essentially states Ripple compromises on security in order to ensure transactions are carried out in seconds. Well, Ripple's network hasn't been breached since its inception. Here's a quote by Brad you'd probably like. The long-term value of any digital asset will be derived from the utility it delivers. Ripple eyeing multiple deals after MoneyGram investment. The CEO of cryptocurrency company Ripple is working on multiple potential investments and acquisitions in the wake of $30 million investment in money transfer business MoneyGram, MGI. We're in a very strong position. Our business is growing strongly. We have a strong balance sheet, and I intend to press our advantage. Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple, told Yahoo Finance UK. Garlinghouse said active discussions on multiple potential investments and acquisitions were currently underway, but declined to give further details. Deals are always very, very hard to predict, he said. Asked what areas Ripple was looking at, Garlinghouse said, anything we can do to accelerate our growth and give us more capabilities that serve customer needs is a good place to be. Ripple is one of the world's largest and wealthiest cryptocurrency companies. Founded in Silicon Valley in 2012, the company developed the XRP cryptocurrency, which is specifically designed to make international payments cheaper and faster. It now uses the technology to help banks and financial institutions with international payments. XRP is decentralized and freely traded on exchanges, but Ripple still owns around 55% of the total supply, worth around $13.7 billion. Although most is locked up in escrow, it sold $250 million worth of XRP in the second quarter alone. Ripple has also raised $94 million from investors including Google, Santander, Standard Chartered, and Silicon Valley Venture Capital from Andreessen Horowitz, giving the company a significant war chest. We're probably the largest investor in blockchain and crypto on the planet, Garlinghouse said. We've publicly announced we've made about $500 million of investments in the space over the last 18 months. I quickly breeze through all of these articles just to show you, and those in the space to just remind you, every single thing Brad Garlinghouse has touched has turned to gold. Every one of these operations have been exactly the same. He is the leader that keeps every one of these companies focused and is taking them into growth beyond their expectations. And many times, he has not strayed from his initial plan. I think if you're an XRP investor, if you're an XRP holder, you should be pretty amazed and pretty excited at what's in store and what's to come, knowing his past on where we're going for his future. Again, obviously there's a huge surprise coming up at Swell, and I believe the community is extremely excited at this point, and there's for good reason. The anticipation of what is to come, and as history shows, history does repeat itself. For those who are in it as an investor only. But again, knowing the history of Brad, from the VOIP all the way up to current CEO of Ripple, I think you should sleep well tonight and be anxious for tomorrow. All of the content will be provided in the description below so that you can further research yourself if you would like. This is not financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. Hope you have a great night, and we will catch you in the next one.